Hello, this is Let Me Know How It Is, a podcast about all things geek. Tonight, in the spirit of Halloween, we're discussing moments in pop culture that scared us as kids. If you're a new listener, welcome. Thanks for being here. We release new episodes every Wednesday. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for listening. All right. It's Halloween, so we are taking a trip down memory lane today. We are going over the things that scared us the most in media and pop culture when we were kids. I'm Zach Slater.
I'm Frank Melman.
I'm Tommy Smithereens.
And I'm Clifton.
All right, so we're going to do this round robin style. So Clifton, why don't you start us off?
All right, so I'm starting off. This one, actually, I got a little assist on from our engineer who reminded me about it, and then I remembered how traumatizing it was. And it's the cartoon series Inhumanoids from 1986. If anybody remembers this one, do you remember this one?
I do. Me and our engineer actually binged all of these like 10 years ago.
Was it still scary? 10 years ago.
I mean, we were cracking jokes the whole time. I mean, we had each other, so it wasn't as scary because we could...
You weren't in a room with the lights off watching.
Exactly.
It was like Godzilla by way of H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, wow.
For kids.
For kids.
And the opening theme song, which apparently was the catchphrase for the show, was something about the evil that lies within. It's the name of the first 5 episodes when they did the 5-episode pilot.
Yeah.
And I mean, they talk about the down in the fiery depths where the nightmare begins in the theme song. And it just features this demonic voice. Saying Inhumanoids randomly, sporadically throughout the theme song.
I remember. Yep. Inhumanoids.
Yeah, it's just comes
and it
out
was
of nowhere,
singing on top of it.
Yeah.
What about Earthcore? Yeah.
Yeah, and the Earthcore was who was fighting these monsters from the fiery depths where nightmare begins.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember one of the monsters had this power, it would yell, it would shriek, decompose. And it would grab a human and touch them, and then they would start rotting and then turn into a monster. And that was the part that scared me.
Was it the one that looked like a big skeleton?
Yes, I think so. I can't remember their names though. I do not remember the monsters' names, but he would just shriek decompose in a high shrill voice.
Huh.
I love the intro. I love the intro.
This came on after Gem on Saturday mornings or something. So it was quite a transition from whatever it was showing around.
I was going to say, Gem's a perfect lead-in for Inhumanoids. They're so close.
Was it made by Deke?
It was the same people, I believe.
Okay. That's probably why
same.
we got it paired up with Gem.
So we got a note from our engineer about monster names. Decompose, Tendril, and Metlar were the villain monster names.
Okay.
Metlar sounds cool. That's where the Giants play.
Metlar Stadium.
Yeah, Metlar Stadium.
Yeah, I remember it, but I don't remember watching it. So it's one of those. It was toys too, right? There were toys for it.
Yeah, it was a toy line. It was definitely a toy line.
Okay, so then I definitely remember.
I remember one of the vehicles had a hook because it got him out of so many jams. That hook was
a winch on the front.
Yeah. I didn't watch this one as a kid. So like I said, me and our engineer, we watched this 10 years ago, probably more than 15 years ago. But, I saw this in college,
So
it was a fun idea. And it was one of those that, like many of the 80s cartoons and stuff, it was why don't they do this again? This would be cool.
So is it like mini kaiju or what?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
These giant monsters come out from underground.
Right.
And Earthcore has to fight them without being decomposed.
Yeah, but they wore suits. They wore suits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that too. Again, this all sounds very familiar, but again, I did not watch this show. So
no, I remember the show because one of the members kept throwing something at the TV and busting it every time he saw something political having to do with the topic. They saved the world. I think a senator was against them, and he throw a rock, a shoe, something at the TV at the end.
It's their version of Senator Kelly.
Yes. I vaguely remember, but no, as a kid, I was like, wow, what's going on?
But was he against the monsters or was he against the guys fighting the monsters?
The guys fighting the monsters.
It's like J. Jonah Jameson style.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what. Okay, now it makes
Like
more
they're
sense.
the menace, not these monsters that decompose people.
Yeah, they caused the menace by bringing it up to the surface. That's what the big. If I recall, that's the big hubbub. But no, I look at it. Yeah, that was kind of frightening. I didn't even think about it in that way. I think there was a giant one called Tendril.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sounds slimy. Sounds like a gross name.
Yes.
Don't let it touch you. Like, All right. No, so we'll find the intro and we'll put it up on letmeknowhowitis.com if you guys don't know what Inhumanoids are. It was fun. It was a fun show. But yeah, but apparently it scared the crap out of you guys when you were younger, right?
When you're not expecting it on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, again, it's a hell of a transition between those two.
Oh yeah, but it was a Hasbro product, man. That's the crazier part.
Okay.
In conjoint with Marvel, of all places.
Gotcha.
Yep. All right. Who's next?
I guess I'll go next.
There you go.
And this is one of those where it's kind of obscure, but it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And I've never watched it even as an adult. That's how much it frightened me as a kid. Is a movie called Magic from like the late 70s.
Okay.
All right.
And it's basically it's a psychological horror movie with Anthony Hopkins and Margaret and Burgess Meredith, right?
Yes.
Written by William Goldman.
Yeah, I remember.
Directed by Richard Attenborough.
No, solid. William Goldman's great.
Yeah. It sounds like Goldman's awesome. Sounds like this could be really cool. But basically, it's Anthony Hopkins is like a failed magician.
Yes.
And he wants to basically, juice up his act or find a way to make his act better. He fails on stage, if that's what I'm thinking this was about.
Mm-hmm.
But he ends up getting a ventriloquist dummy, and slowly but surely, like his acting, he gets better at his act. But I don't know if it's a possessed ventriloquist dummy or it's just one of the things where it's messy. Like he starts to break down and like basically justifies what he's doing by saying the dummy made me do it.
Right.
But I just remember as a kid, like the dummy is like, it's terrifying. It looks sort of like younger Anthony Hopkins. But I remember as a kid having to be like, when the commercial came on for it, I'd be like, my parents felt like at the point where like, we just have to turn this away, turn another channel. Don't look at it. Because it was just for whatever, and it had a voice, like it had a creepy voice and stuff. And again, it's one of the things where to this day, I still see the image. I'm like, yep. That freaked me out as a kid. That was a thing that I did not care for looking at or wanted to see. And then, again, even as an adult with its pedigree, I've still not watched it.
Okay. Wow. I have no idea what you're talking about, Frank.
Yes, this one was just like a touch before my time, but my older sister still has a lifelong fear of ventriloquist dummies just from seeing the commercials for that movie on TV.
It was terrifying. It's one of those things where, again, I haven't even ventured into looking at the footage of like the trailer for it at my advanced age. I've not bothered to check it out because, and again, I love Goldman stuff. I think Goldman did like Princess Bride and what's another one?
Oh, Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid is him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty terrific. So it's one of those things where when I saw that, I'm like, oh, well, maybe. But, it just basically gets, like I said, as far as I understand it just gets worse and worse with this dummy, and more horrific things happen. But I've never watched it. So,
was this written for kids?
No.
Okay. So it was just like a commercial you would catch.
Yeah, like kids have enough contact with it to be traumatized.
Yes. Okay.
Like it would come on. Yeah, it would come on. Like I said, it would just be we'd be randomly watching TV together as a family or whatever, and all of a sudden, like they would advertise it, and my parents got to the point where like, all right, time, just don't look away from it. Well, my dad's trying to turn the TV down or whatever. But yeah, Magic. No, still to this day, no, thank you. I'm good.
Okay, Magic. Yeah. We'll find something for it.
Yes.
Put it up on letmeknowhowitis.com. I'll look for it. We won't make Frank look for it.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No watch challenge Magic episode.
No. Oh, no.
Definitely not. All right, Tommy, what scared the crap out of you as a kid?
Okay. When I was growing up, I used to share with my brothers. I was the middle of 3 children, and my older brother was 3 years older than me at the time. So I'd always have to go to bed early while he'd be up late. And there was one TV in the room. It was a rather large TV. You know, the TVs that you can set drinks on. It was damn near a table in itself, wood panel and all that stuff.
Like the furniture TV. Yeah.
Yes. So my younger brother had to go to sleep, and my older brother would stay up. And, you know, in most cases, I, you know, use covers to cover up. And right when I get to the edge of sleep, I would hear, which is the Twilight Zone intro. And seeing that, the intro and that music underneath the covers would creep me the hell out. Without fail. So regardless of the show, without even knowing the show, the music creeped me out because it was all quiet till you heard that intro music. I finally got the nerve to watch a full episode, and it was the episode in which the woman thought she was beautiful, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
classic. But I saw the pig faces, man, and that creeped me out to no avail. So it just made it worse. It was just mini horror stories.
Yeah.
Right? So for the longest time, every time I heard the music, it made me feel like I was a little kid hiding under the covers so the Twilight Zone wouldn't get me.
Okay, so the Twilight Zone wouldn't get you.
It would creep me out every time I heard that music.
Okay, so to clarify, so this was the original 1950s, 1960s Twilight Zone, not the 80s one.
Not the 80s.
Correct? Okay, and no specific episode.
No.
At this juncture, just the theme got you.
The theme and how Serling spoke. It made it feel like it was a documentary. Right. So my young head, it was like real. Like, this is an account of something that happened in real life. You know, it's just...
You could end up in the Twilight Zone at any minute, Tommy.
Yes. Right. Well, my imagination took hold. Like, what the hell is this? And then, you know, it's to the point that when I saw that creepy episode, I would plead with my brother, watch anything else, just not that. You know, I'd take steps to unplug the TV so he thinks something was busted with the set. I try to unplug the antenna, whatever it took. Then I finally snitched and busted on him, and that gave me like a little reprieve.
Right.
Yeah, but for the longest time, that creepy music would just make me think, what the hell kind of spooky story they're going to tell next? So the Twilight Zone.
I mean, for me, I think it was one of the things, with Twilight Zone, it was so, so influential. And it was one of the things where, like, especially with the fact that it was not in color.
Yeah.
It didn't have the same effect on me as some other people. But one show
what do you mean? Didn't have the same effect?
I mean, like, I watched some of those early episodes when I was younger, and it didn't really, like, thinking back, it didn't really bother me. Like, I don't look back and like think I was scared by some of it.
Okay, it didn't scare you because it was black and white.
Yes,
got it.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't really bother me as much because to me, I guess it was just black and white, so it was therefore removed from reality. So,
right.
I mean, even though they were, really obviously done very well, and were very influential. On the flip side of that, Rod Serling's Night Gallery. If you've ever seen that, I mean, I think it's one of those things where I don't think it's any. I think episodes are good, but I don't think it's the same kind of quality. I couldn't watch that.
It's creepier for some reason. I don't know why. It just seems
like I don't either. But I think that they ratchet stuff up.
Yep.
For that
one.
It
had that fuzzy, like 1970s like color to it.
Yeah, like
and he had helmet hair, and he was walking around like that gallery.
Yes.
Which for some reason always felt like something could get him there.
It did.
Even though it was like completely a framing narrative, like it was only a way to like get into the next story. For some reason, it was always like, is there something behind that? Is that going to get him? Like,
right. Well, is something going to come out of the painting and grab him? I mean, it was that, and a lot of times like those, the paintings weren't like, they weren't benign. They were like creepy images or scary images or whatever. But I mean, Twilight Zone I never had an issue with, but I definitely like Night Gallery. I think I watched 2 episodes and I'm like, nope, this isn't for me because it's scary.
Yeah.
So
it's also not as good in my opinion. I love Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone may be, top 3, top 5 TV shows of all time. So I'm happy, Tommy, that you powered through and watched some of it because you would have been missing out. But
I don't know, man. Creepy as hell.
my wife and I kind of creeped ourselves out watching Twilight Zone, like not that long ago. Like this is when we were dating.
Okay.
And you know, they do like the New Year's marathons and stuff like that, like on Sci-Fi Channel. So I mean, we were just, you know, we were hanging out with the pups, and just like watching like hours of Twilight Zone. And then we were like, it was one of those things like we haven't really moved much today. Like, you want to take the pups out for a walk really quick? And it's like 11:30. You know, and we go out after like hours of Twilight Zone, and it's like we're out there and there's like not a soul, and it's like really, really like cloudy night, so you can't, like, there's not a whole lot of moonlight. It's just really dark, and you just have like the like slight breeze, and like we just kind of creeped ourselves out for some reason. Like nothing happened, but we're just like, this is weird, right? Like, like I kind of want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, your imagination takes over, starts to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally get that.
Great show, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have no idea what I want to start with because my list is super pathetic.
Oh, okay.
I was so easily scared as a child. Not this isn't my choice, but to give you an example, like I couldn't watch the Ghostbusters cartoon because it would scare me.
Okay.
Right.
And not just the Boogeyman episodes, because those were scary, legitimately.
No, any episode. Any of it. Well, and also like the cousin that I bring up all the time on the show too, like he would kind of like poke me with that stuff and tell me stuff. He'd always like tell me like these funny stories of like, you know, we're at the mall and he's like, you know, if you touch that sculpture over there, like, you know, Boogeyman's gonna come get your parents at night.
Oh, wow.
Like it would work on me every time. Like,
God. And that's why you're scared of the mall.
This is why I'm scared of the mall. This is yeah. I'm gonna start with one everybody's seen, and it was the Joy Buzzer scene for Batman '89.
Oh wow!
I had to close my eyes during the scene until I was like maybe 10.
Okay.
Thought you were going to say last week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
When you had it on,
seen
when you watched
it for
finally.
the first time this morning. No, it's just like it was weird. It was just this movie I'd seen like, you know, hundreds of times, saw it all the time, but like always, it was always like, you know, my brother, my cousin, or somebody, like that scene would come up. I'd get up, I'd leave the room, I'd be like, yell and let me know when it's over.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I don't know what it was. I mean, it might have been the fact that somebody got fried into a skeleton.
Like a desiccated corpse.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that's the one that did it for me always.
Yeah, I had to stop and think about that scene for a minute. Yeah, I mean, I could get that. I mean, if you're not, you know, it's a little graphic for what
I'm
you
7.
expect. Right.
I'm
no,
7.
No, I understand. You know, you had to think about that. Sure, of course, I get that. Yeah, no, I understand. That's a bit much for that age. Yeah, no, I could see that. I mean, I like when you said the buzzer, I'm like, oh yeah, that. But at the same time, you know, I wasn't your age when I saw it, so
great scene though. Now I love it. It's one of my favorites watching it. You know,
right?
So it's good. It makes me feel strong inside that I've turned it around and I love the scene.
Right.
All right, so let's jump into round 2. Okay, so Tommy, you said you wanted to start round 2, so let's do this.
A Clockwork Orange.
As a kid?
As a kid. Again, this is steeped with my older brother.
Yeah.
He loved to watch stuff at night when no one was looking, and he usually did it on our TV set because door closed. Who's going to pay attention that late at night?
Mm-hmm.
When what's the main characters with his drogs?
Right, the droogs, Alex and his droogs.
When they're assaulting the woman, I lose it. just, and then he turns on his own guys. That was it. That was my Porter Harbor. Like when I never forget when I saw the scene when one of his friends reaches for his hand and he like slices it with the knife. It was the most horrific thing because I felt like, what the hell? What's going on? Because up until this point, all my life was cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything's happy go lucky. So when I see just straight abject horror, not even super violence, like, you know, I could take.
It's a bit of the old ultra violence.
Yes, I could take somebody, emptying a clip of bullets into somebody because I don't come across a military grade weapon, so it's still fake. I've seen GI Joe,
Right.
but that no, it's just demented psychopathic people, especially what he wore with the codpiece showing out in the bowler hat. I was done.
So how old were you, Tommy? About?
I was 9,
Ugh,
maybe.
Okay.
Oh my
Maybe
god!
8.
Yeah.
Watching that.
Yeah. You should have been watching that.
No. You think? And I was like, what is he hitting? Is the phallic symbol that he kept smashing? I was like, what?
Ugh.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
I mean,
sorry you watched that. You should
all,
not watch that.
all these
Jeez.
images just flooding in. It was just like, what are you watching? And then
Was your brother prying your eyes open so you were forced to watch while putting like eyedroppers on you? Because that also happens in the movie.
Right,
No, yeah. I further on, I saw that too. It was still horrific, but he would always take the time to watch the stuff he shouldn't watch, and he was intrigued, not caring that maybe one of his other brothers was up watching it with him.
Were you begging him to put on Twilight Zone?
No, this was the alternative from Twilight Zone. That's what made it worse.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Is instead of that, please put on Twilight Zone.
Yeah, at this point, yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I understand the whole movie thing and imagery. Jeez, but when they take that same individual and he's crying for help, it's just like, what's going on?
Yeah. A lot of messed up scenes and questions, I'm sure.
Oh, indeed. That weren't answered until years from now, because I wouldn't even broach the subject of what happened next in the show. What am I watching? Nope. Leave the room. You just bring up a Clockwork Orange at any moment. I'll just disappear. Yes.
God.
I was not expecting a Clockwork Orange to be on anybody's list. I have to be honest. Good grief. 9 years old.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a mistake, man. That's a big mistake.
It was a bad call, Ripley.
Yeah.
Call.
Yeah.
Never forget. Yeah. When you mentioned the movie of Magic, that was Ventriloquist Stubbies are horrific in itself, but it immediately jumped into my thought A Clockwork Orange.
I was gonna watch the Magic trailer when we got off, but now I'm a little creeped out and I don't want to.
You can watch it. Go ahead. You can let me know how it is.
Okay. Yeah. It's up there.
I'm not going to watch it.
Right. I dare you, Zach. Watch it in the dark and then go to bed.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Especially with the young Anthony Hopkins. Yeah. No.
Oh,
it's up there.
Yes.
Okay. Clifton, what do you got?
Growing up, I'd be left at home sometimes, or, my parents were doing something, church meetings or something, and they'd check out a videotape from the old videotape rental stores and just put it on and leave it for me to watch while they were off doing something. and think they're safe most of the time. And this one I'm bringing up because it was a Disney film.
Oh boy.
And we've talked about doing an episode on some of the Disney movies that you can't believe are Disney movies, and this is one, and it is Something Wicked This Way Comes.
I knew this was going to be on your list.
From 1983.
No, I have to agree wholeheartedly. Oh my gosh. I have to agree with you.
Yeah, it's based on the story by Ray Bradbury about like a demonic carnival that shows up overnight.
Right.
In like your small town, like they always did at the time.
Okay.
Like when you just wake up one morning and like there would be a carnival in your town on the way to school. Because I remember that happening.
Right.
Yes.
So it felt relatable and just particularly like there's only one thing that stands out about this movie more than anything else, and it's the like a merry-go-round scene.
Yes. Yes.
Where somebody like ages super fast from like young to old to basically like decompose. Like that's how old they get.
Yeah.
And that image has been with me ever since then.
This is a live action or animated?
Live action.
Live action.
Yeah, it was a live action Walt Disney produced movie from 1983.
Yes.
Okay. Never seen it again. So
you should go watch it tonight.
I have no. Yeah, I know. I got a lot of homework to do now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was when movies come up, and we've talked about the topic before, but we haven't done the episode. But yeah, this is one of the ones that people are like, oh no, this never should have been considered a kids movie.
Never. I remember that.
They
yeah, I mean, it
pushed...
comes out like under the Walt Disney banner before they would do like their more mature theme stuff under other company names. Like this is the Walt Disney banner, and like you would see it on the shelf and think like, oh, like, you know, they were doing like Old Yeller and stuff.
Right.
like it might be, it's based on a book. It might be a little mature for kids, but it's fine. But it was not.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I remember that mess. God, so creepy. I almost thought Needful Things was a remake of it till I watched Needful Things. It's like, nah, it's not the same thing. Yeah. So creepy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is that on Disney Plus? I'm just curious.
There's no way
I will find out. We'll do some research on that.
I'll be surprised they put that on Disney Plus.
I mean, there was an update recently, so it might be on there.
Just Halloween.
Yeah,
probably.
Time for Halloween.
It could be. Very well could be.
Yes.
All right. I'm so creeped out. I forgot whose turn is it now?
It's mine. I'll go
Frank.
next.
Okay. All right.
So I preface this by saying I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get a lot of what or huh, because I know I've talked about this particular thing in how much I love it, and it's one of the things where I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it did freak me out and creep me out a bit at the time. And that's V, the original miniseries.
Yeah, I'm with
the
you
alien
there.
thing.
Yeah,
yep, I'm with you there.
Because it was one of those things where I'm not quite a teenager at this point. I think I might have been like 11, I think. And it was one of those things where, it was sold very much, the NBC at the time, they put the miniseries out and they did a great job of like their marketing. Like there was all these commercials about, hey, the visitors are our friends and they're here to help us. And, you should be on board with the idea of, the visitors coming, right? And it was one of those things where once you find out, if you've never seen it, I don't really want to spoil it because it's worth watching. But like, there's a lot of allusions to the Nazis, and there's a lot of allusions to like, the things that happen, like atrocities that happen, and it becomes a situation where
like one of the characters is a concentration camp survivor from World War II.
Yeah, who warns from the beginning, like, no, don't trust these aliens.
Right.
They're not what they seem. This is the same kind of thing we went through in World War II. And then. People start to disappear, and and once you find out what they're all about, I mean, we're talking at this point, it's almost a 40-year-old miniseries, so I guess we can't spoil it. So the visitors are aliens, they're lizards, they're lizard people wearing human skin. So when you get into a fight with them, you'd see like the heroes tear their faces off, which is creepy enough, right? Like you would get into a scuffle, and they didn't do it. The thing was, they didn't do it at first because there wasn't a lot of like pushback, but once people find out that yes, they're aliens, and yes, they're the other thing is they're like stealing people and putting them in these giant ships because they're going to eat them,
right? Like these stasis pods,
right? Yeah, like that Twilight Zone episode,
right? So there's I mean, like at one point, Mark Singer, the Beastmaster, gets on the ship and finds like there's like walls and walls and walls of like the lights like go on like forever, showing these like walls of people, in these pods that are basically there like in refrigeration units so they can be eaten later. And they did, I mean, for the time, the makeup was pretty good, I would say. Because it looked pretty, like they would do stuff like, like I said, like they would rip the flesh off of someone and they would have the lizard face underneath. And then on top of that, you would have like these scenes where they would unhinge their jaw and eat mice.
Right.
But the thing about it, I remember the time that was like kind of like the icing on the cake or the top level of like the creepy part was, one of the teenage girls in the show, I think her name was Robin, is she gets in a relationship with one of the visitors and ends up having a baby.
Yeah, and she gets pregnant.
Yeah, and they go all the way with this bit where it's like the baby's, it's like the lizard baby. They show like the lizard baby, and you don't expect. I mean, for being a TV movie or a TV miniseries, it's done again. Looking back, obviously through a different, being an adult, or being older, it's different. But at the time, you didn't expect him to go full lizard baby. So that one, that's my choice. I would go with is be the miniseries because again, I didn't expect it to be, it was like I said, it sold really, really well at the time. About, and the other thing is it's during, you're in the Cold War, right? So the idea that they play off that idea too, that they're just they're benevolent, they're friendly, when really no, they're not.
All right.
And then the opening scene, I remember watching, because I was younger than that, but I do remember watching like when it was first on the air that Sunday night as a miniseries. And the opening is when the ships arrive. And it was later, like Independence Day basically took it from V, basically recreated it, how V did it.
I remember being so heartbroken when you told me that. You're like, that shot from Independence Day is like, they stole it from V. I was like,
all that
what?
stuff of the giant saucers arriving over the cities is straight out of V.
Yeah.
And V did it with like lots of fake news coverage too. So I remember that scaring me as a kid because it like felt real.
Yeah. No, they did a great job with it.
It felt like the War on the World stuff, like the old radio show. Yeah.
Yeah, they do a really good job of selling you on the premise and selling you on the bit, and like they're committed to it. But the thing about it was when my dad was a Star Trek fan, so we watched, I had watched old Trek with him, and then he was excited about this. We watched, I watched it to a point, and then he was kind of like, okay, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore. And then I watched it later, as when I was older, to watch the rest of it, but. Because they went from being a miniseries to being a regular series, and when it went to being a regular series, a lot of that stuff got toned down.
Yeah,
because they wanted to make it, have a little bit of a more broad appeal to it.
Right.
Well, so then I was thinking about it. Is Robert Englund's character Willie's in the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in the series as well as the miniseries.
Because they don't bring in like Michael Ironside comes in later as like a resistance fighter, this guy Ham, and he's great in it.
Right.
But the other thing is, don't you remember, Clifton, the fact that they have like when they find out they figure out a way to kill the visitors, and they have that red dust, and the deaths are like horrific.
Right.
They develop whatever that stuff is, and it kills them. It almost kills them on contact.
Yeah. They're just basically asphyxiating.
And they're like choking to death or whatever.
Yeah. You feel a little bad for them.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's a horrible way to go, but at the same time, so
like a spider in the toilet bowl.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you
bad
start
call,
to feel
buddy.
a little bad. Yeah.
Yeah, you made a bad call. So
yeah. All right. So I very possibly around the same year for me. So I'm a kid. And my brother, who's older than me, I would, getting ready for bed, painting a picture here. I'm getting ready for bed. I got my pajamas on, getting ready to go to sleep. And I go to my brother's room to say goodnight. And he is watching The Fly. The Jeff Goldblum Fly, which is who? Cronenberg?
Classic.
Yeah.
Right?
Cronenberg.
Yeah.
And I'm in there and I'm like kind of like taken by... Like it's dark and it's kind of shot it's interesting. So my eye goes right to it, right? And the guy appears to be like in pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you watching? What's wrong with him? And he's like, oh, I'm watching The Fly. And then his ear falls off.
Right.
His freaking ear falls off, and then he's like, well, he's got like slime. Spitting slime out of his mouth. And I'm like, oh, and that scared the crap out of me.
Right.
So, did not sleep very well that night.
Yeah.
So this is, like I said, this is like very well like the same year, maybe the next year when I can't watch that Joy Buzzer scene in Batman. So let's fast forward 20 years. All right.
Okay.
And 3 a.m, I'm up. One of those instances, like I could just go to sleep, but no, I'm gonna channel surf and still. Right. Let's see. I'm still want to watch TV or something. Right. So flipping through and, oh, wow. Like we got like HBO free this weekend. I didn't know that.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Oh, there's The Fly.
Uh-huh.
I remember this movie scaring the crap out of me when I was a kid. So I'm going to check out a little bit of it now. Right. I'm not going to let it beat me. So I turn it on, watching a bit. And we're in some kind of like bar in the South.
Oh,
and there's an arm wrestling contest. and the guy's arm doesn't give and his arm splits in half like at the forearm. And I'm like 20 years later, I'm like, ah! So it got me again. 20 years after the fact, in a completely different scene, but kind of the same reaction.
Right.
So I hate that movie. So to hell with that movie.
No, it just means in 20 more years you can give it another shot and see how it goes.
Right.
It's being a not a reboot but a reimagining of it. It's pretty fantastic.
I've seen the original. I love the Vincent Price, the original. Yeah.
That's got some good bits in it, but no, the fact that this is like, the reimagining of it and how well it's done.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good one. There's some really good messed up stuff in that. I mean, most Cronenberg stuff is that way, but
right.
Yeah, that one in particular.
Yeah, he does his science on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way it just becomes something unbearable, even for the casual person to watch, and just how it progresses. I mean, to imagine that on a normal level at all. I mean, it takes a stage left from the original. I mean, all the original did was take a head and make a big fly. What he does in this one, jeez.
Yeah.
All right, don't talk about it anymore.
Well, I mean, I just remember, for years after it was, don't be afraid. No, be very afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. I was creeped out by the original. I was like, help me.
Right.
I thought that was the pinnacle of stuff. No. What are you going to do in this new age? I can live through this. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's even worse.
Oh,
it's way worse.
So much worse. So much worse.
No, that's a good one. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so who's up next?
That would be I.
All right, Tommy.
Okay.
This is your number one.
Well, I don't know if it's my number one, but
this
is not his most traumatizing childhood experience.
Yeah, I think I started backwards if that's the case, because Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone is my fly, basically. But that's neither here nor there. Here's one that I casually remembered, and it took me some time to get over because the whole aesthetic of the movie was creepy to me.
Okay.
And I thought it was sci-fi. At the time, I'm watching Star Trek. Star Wars is a thing. So hell, spaceships, robots, I'm all in. Then I watched The Black Hole. Wow.
Yeah. Clifton, this was the one that I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disney, you got me again, because I'm thinking there's going to be a song, there's going to be cheerful voices, something, Disney doing sci-fi, what could be bad? Right. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
This is a sci-fi musical is what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking
the robot's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. What lies behind the black hole? La 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 la.
Hell.
Yeah. Yes.
Demon dimension.
Yes. All commandeered by a guy who makes his crew members into robots.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I saw that. I remember seeing it in the theater again. My parents took me because again, they thought it was something, something not like you said. It's Disney. It's not going to be that dark, and it's so unbelievably dark.
Yes.
It's like an Event Horizon.
Yeah, for kids.
For kids.
Right. For kids. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's Event Horizon for children.
But what messed me up early on was old Bob.
I know.
When you see, okay, Zach, I don't know if you see it, but there's a shiny robot, cool. I think his name is it Vincent? I want to say his name is Vincent.
Yeah, I think it is.
Multitask, can do anything. Made R2-D2 look like a chump.
Yes.
He's hovering, he's smart, he got the eyes, whatever, what have you. Old Bob makes you. If you could ever imagine, and I hate to use the term cripple, it's like a crippled robot, but it just seems terrible.
Yeah, just shambling around.
Yes.
He hovered?
It hovered, but it's like
it was shaky at best.
Yeah, it had the shakes. It couldn't extend its leg back in. Its helmet wasn't on right. It was crooked. I mean, it's like, why couldn't you fix them? Why'd you let them all shambles? Like, it's not like you didn't have parts. I mean, even his voice sounded like it was 200. Like it was like an old man waiting to die. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've wanted to see this one again as an adult. I've never seen it again since I was a kid, and then it was also one of those things of as a kid, I'm like, I don't really want to see it, but now I'd like to see it again. That was one I was hoping was. I mean, I don't expect it to be, but I was hoping it was good. I was hoping it was going to be on Disney Plus, but as of yet, no.
So we'll check on that one too.
Trust me, don't watch something that scared you as a kid 20 years later thinking it's not going to do it.
Right. No, I'm sure it'll still have, some kind of effect. But I remember all of that stuff from seeing it as a kid. I think I even had, that was the other thing, was like when we had like book sales, like Scholastic book sales at school, I remember getting the actual like the picture book for it, but I don't think it has the horrific ending. I think it ends before then. So it's kind of like you're even rooked in by that because you think it's not, you don't notice that it's basically going to take you to a hell dimension when you go through the black hole.
Oh yeah,
you're in luck, Frank. It is on Disney Plus.
Is it?
Right now? You can go watch it.
All right, guys, I'm done. Thank you so much.
Something Wicked This Way Comes, unfortunately, is not streaming anywhere. Like that's how horrific it is.
Yeah,
it is not available to watch anywhere.
Yeah,
currently.
it's been banned.
and just forewarn Frank, it has your favorite actor in it, Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins is in it?
Anthony Perkins, yes.
Oh.
And it has Roddy McDowell.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember Roddy McDowell. But is it the guy that the guy that runs the space station, isn't he like a Bond villain too?
I'm trying to think.
Or am I thinking somebody else? Because I think I thought he was Drax. I thought he was the villain from Moonraker.
I was going to say Drax is a joke.
Okay,
No,
but he looks like
I think
I could be wrong, but it's one of those things where we can look it up. But I thought the same actor played or it's the actor in both those movies, but I could be wrong.
You mean it's the captain who piloted the ship, or
The guy with the beard? And there's a guy with the beard, the bad guy, basically.
Robert Forster? Was that him?
I don't know. It's been a long time. I'd have to look at it and get back. But
well, I'm not trying to recall it in detail. Just like
I hear you. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
All I could think about when you said he was like the robot that hovered, and then you mentioned R2-D2, and all I was thinking about was like, wait a minute, like why didn't R2-D2 hover?
No, he's
like
better
they had
than
speeders everywhere,
Yeah.
like everything
Yeah.
hovered.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is he on wheels?
Yeah, he was on wheels. Yeah. Yeah, this robot hovered.
Right.
Yeah.
R2-D2 hovered in the prequels. He just opted not
That's
to
true.
later
Right,
on.
he did.
Yeah, he had the rocket boosters. Yeah.
Yeah. He lost
That's
that
right.
ability later.
Yeah. Okay. Yet another one I've not seen. So
And don't see it. Don't.
Disney
Yeah.
Plus, go watch it. I dare you.
Yeah.
all right. Clifton, what's your last one?
I'm gonna go with one where it was a situation kind of like Tommy's had, where he was just a victim of proximity. Because like I did not watch horror movies when I was a kid, and really no one in my house did much. I mean, we'd occasionally get something kind of scary, like The Fog by was that Wes Craven? Was Wes Craven The Fog?
It's Carpenter, I think.
John Carpenter's The Fog. Yeah, we'd get something like that, but not terribly scary, but scary enough. But I would go to friends' houses who had older siblings who would always have on like terrible stuff. And one afternoon it was Creep Show.
Oh.
When we're just like trying to play Legos or something in the same room.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was the first Creep Show. And there was the story that the only one I remember, I may have blocked out the others, but the one I remember is the one about like a guy in a room with bugs.
Mm.
I don't know if anyone's ever seen the first Creep Show, but I feel like it just keeps cutting back and forth where he's like in this room full of bugs, and then all of a sudden like the bugs are gone and he's just laying there.
Okay.
And then like all of the bugs start coming out from him.
Yeah. That's why I remember it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like centipedes, like the gross looking bugs.
Like beetles and
Like everything.
things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like anything you can think of.
Like the stuff that like if I see it I'll cry.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like swarms of it,
Right.
like crawling out of him all at once because it had all gone inside of him.
Right.
Mhm.
And so he's like dead, but like these things are all inside, like infested. And that's all I remember from that movie. and I've never seen all of it.
Right.
I've never gone back to it, but I remember that scene from when I was in second grade.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Jeez.
Super creepy. And yet, Edgar in Men in Black, same thing. Not creepy at all. Not scary at all. Watch it all day long.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Vincent D'Onofrio makes it work.
Yeah,
I don't
he
know.
does. No, I've never seen Creep Show. I'm not going to. Don't like bugs. So, all right, Frank, what's your last one?
My last one is again one of those things where I was. It's around the same time as V. It's around that same time where it's another miniseries, and I didn't ever actually see it like at the time when it was on. Unlike V, where I got to watch most of it. This one is an ABC miniseries called The Day After, and if you're unfamiliar with The Day After, basically it was done in 2 parts, and it basically was almost a movie where basically the it shows you what would happen in an actual nuclear attack, and then how the people that go through it the very next day. And again, I didn't see it, but I knew what it was.
Right.
and it was one of those, the kids that were able to see it the next day in the schoolyard went into graphic detail about what happened and people's faces melting off and like, people's skin sloughing off their face and stuff.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I couldn't, my parents were like emphatically like, no, you're not going to watch this. But at the time, obviously, when you're an 80s kid and we're at the height of the Cold War, and granted, we didn't live in like the time of like get on your desk with the air raid sirens, like in the 50s and 60s, but there was still that feeling of, the Russians could launch nuclear weapons at any particular time. We could have a mistake. There was 3 Mile Island had happened. The threat of nuclear attack was a lot more in people's minds than it had been in probably since. But that was one that I remember, was being, it was scary because it was supposed to be an actual real quote unquote depiction of what would happen. And I was looking some stuff up about it and said that the before the end credits that basically there was a crawl or something on the screen that says the catastrophic events you've just witnessed are in all likelihood less severe than the destruction that would actually occur in the event of a full nuclear strike against the United States. It is hoped that the image of this film will inspire the nations of this earth, their peoples and leaders to find the means to avert that fateful day. Which, again,
public service announcement. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's a bit much, but like Jason Robards is in it. I was looking at some of the other people that are in it. Steve Guttenberg.
Okay.
Joe Beth
and it's
Williams.
Not funny?
Right. I don't know. John Lithgow's in it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's supposed to be like, like I said, it takes place in some town, and it says the effects of a devastating nuclear holocaust on small town residents of eastern Kansas.
All right.
And then it's the tagline is, they told us it would be impossible for us to make this movie. They told us it was impossible for you to watch it. We hope nothing is impossible the day after.
Right.
So yeah, that one was
sounds harrowing.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But like I said, I mean, I just remember kids being like, I got to watch it. Let me tell you everything that happens in it.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that you just refreshed my memory. That was a complete component about growing up that I completely forgot until now. Mm-hmm. Right. That like, I didn't watch this, but I'm at school and we're hanging out outside waiting for the bell to ring before they let us in, or we're at recess or whatever. Right. And then the kids are, saying that, they're talking about the stuff that they shouldn't have been allowed to watch, that nobody else is allowed to watch, but they got to watch.
Right.
Yeah. And like, and clearly, like, for me, like, I was never that kid. I was afraid of my own shadow, but I was never into to the gross out stuff either.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not for me. I'm not watching any of the stuff you guys said. No, except Twilight Zone. I love Twilight Zone. I'll watch that.
My experience with Day After is similar to Frank's, where I had never seen it. I've still never seen it, but I do remember it having like a legendary status.
Mm-hmm.
Like growing up, where people, like kids, would talk about it still, even a few years later. In my case, and especially like when we would watch the other Cold War stuff, like Red Dawn and stuff like that, and people would be like, "Let me tell you about this other thing I saw."
Right.
That's in hushed whispers. That's how I remember it.
Right.
Yeah. This is off of IMDb. It said, in the original broadcast, in an effort to be quote unquote contemporary, the radio address by the President of the United States was given by a voice that was a mimic of Ronald Reagan's.
Sure.
This apparently offended a lot of people. In subsequent broadcasts and on the video release, the voice was changed to a more generic, non-identifiable voice. So again, they were doing a little bit of that War of the Worlds, mess with your mind stuff.
Like verite.
Mm-hmm. So that you would basically, when every other sitcom was having an episode where they were playing chess with a Russian that was really friendly, but we have to watch out for the people that run Russia. It was one of those things where like, no, nuclear attack could happen anytime.
Stupid 80s.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So my number 1, same here. So apparently I walked around 1988, just in constant fear.
Uh-huh.
Always. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Really?
Oh, wow.
Really?
At the end, when Christopher Lloyd starts to make the turn.
Yeah.
Wow. And his voice is getting all high. It is.
You remember me, Eddie?
Mm-hmm. And his eyeballs fall out of his head.
Right.
And again, I'm 7, you know, or however, watching the theater. That creeped me the heck out. Like,
Sure.
and then of course it's also like we saw it at night. You know, I'm in the car by like in the this is when we had a Jeep and like when you could ride in the cargo area and not have seatbelts and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of like sitting there by myself, and it's like and suddenly like the drive home is darker than I ever remembered it to be.
Right.
And I'm terrified. Love the movie now. One of my all-time favorite movies, but I still get a little like it's amazing how this stuff never goes away. I'll bet you if I'm wearing a heart rate monitor, like you would see it go up when it's inching close to that spot. I'm sure it happens.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yep. Nobody has anything else to say. That's stupid, Zach. Movie's great.
No. I mean, it's a creepy. It's one of those for kids, but it's kind of like it's pretty intense ending.
And he's got the crazy red eyes.
Yep.
Yes.
Some dagger eyes. Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh.
No, I could see that.
Yep. Terrifying. Love it though. Love it now. Didn't have the fly effect. But all right. So since this was like all stuff that scared us out of our wits when we were kids, let's close out by like what's a kid safe horror thing we can recommend? Like if you're a kid and you want to show your kid something fun for Halloween that that you're not going to have to be up with them all night, like it's just a movie,
Right.
Right. What do you pick?
And I can think of a few over the years that I've liked. Not from when I was a kid, but I watched them later and think they'd be good for kids. And like Monster House, I enjoyed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a very good one, and quite similarly, Paranorman from Leica Studios, actually, and Coraline definitely from Leica Studios. Coraline is a great kind of scary thing that bridges the gap without being too scary for the young ones, but still pretty creepy for like older people too.
Right.
Based on the Neil Gaiman novel.
Mm-hmm. The only one of that bunch that I've seen was Monster House on your recommendation, and you and I have a lot of similar tastes and stuff. So when you recommended it to me, I was like, okay, I knew it was probably very good.
Yeah.
And I was still somehow caught completely off guard. Like I wasn't expecting that movie to be that good, but Monster House is phenomenally good. For like that, yeah, for like a kid's movie, but with a little bit of edge, but yeah,
but not too much edge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was written by Rob Schrab, who I brought up before because he was the creator of Scud the Disposable Assassin, the indie comic from the 90s that I loved, along with Dan Harmon. So he does a lot with Dan Harmon.
Yeah, it's a really nice looking movie too. It was a weird like motion capture. I remember because I watched the DVD extras.
Yeah, it was a different CG style at the time.
Yeah, it was a CG thing, but yeah, like that, the actor, the kid, the voices like also like acted it out.
Yep.
I remember. Yeah, it was a cool back when you would watch DVD extras and they had to explain to you what motion capture was.
It was a different time.
Yeah.
We barely knew who what's his name was.
Oh, Andy Serkis.
Yeah, we barely knew who Andy Serkis was back then.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Tommy Frank, who's next?
Oh, I was going to say Coraline.
Okay.
You can expand on it because I barely touched on it.
Oh, no. It was funny because I haven't seen it, but I was talking to my neighbor about it and she was like, and I was trying to tell her I can never get past the button eyes.
The other mother?
Mm. I don't know who it was because after I saw the image, I was like, I'm good.
Okay.
It's just creeped me out. But no, she highly recommended it and told me what I didn't know, that Gaiman was after it was written by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah. It's one of Neil Gaiman's young adult geared novels.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very good too.
At a time too when they were doing some interesting animated stuff like that, because there was Not My Choice, but there was that was it 9? You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Clifton, I think you and I saw it together.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was also kind of like trying to push like the scary edge a little bit. You know, that one may not have been necessarily geared towards children.
Right.
But that was a good one though. And probably within, a
couple years of Coraline.
4 years of some of those. Yeah.
No, actually, it was the exact same year as Coraline. Coraline was also 2009.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Frank, what's yours?
This one's from a little further back. It's a particular episode of Amazing Stories. Back when the original run, and if you've never seen this episode, it's a good one. It's just scary enough where it's not like over the top scary, but it's the episode called "Go to the Head of the Class."
Okay, I don't remember this one. Yeah. I did watch a lot of the Amazing Stories growing up, but I don't remember this one.
And it was it's not usually the Amazing Stories was kind of like it was magic or it was something sci-fi. It wasn't really, but this one's horror based, and it's directed by Robert Zemeckis. Christopher Lloyd's in it, Mary Stuart Masterson. And basically the premise is that a teenage horror buff is so smitten with a sexy classmate that he helps her use black magic on their loathsome English teacher with shocking and bewildering results. And Christopher Lloyd, he's playing the heavy. He's the English teacher and he's awful, right? They don't like this teacher. So they cast a spell and of course it goes awry. And then it's just big fun. So I think it's on Amazon, but I'm not sure. But you should be able to find it. It's called, like I said, Go to the Head of the Class. I loved it. I remember, obviously I think it came out in '86, like November of that year, right around Halloween. But it's a great episode. And, it's Robert Zemeckis and Christopher Lloyd teamed up again after Back to the Future. So that's my recommendation.
That sounds definitely worth checking out.
And there's a new one. And there's a revival.
One, right.
There's a revival that came out this year.
Yes. So which I had a chance to check out.
On Apple TV Plus.
Yeah. I don't remember who's attached to it. I remember that this was Brian Fuller was attached to it for a while, but I don't think he's involved. Brian Fuller of Pushing Daisies, and Hannibal, Dead Like Me, stuff like that. Good showrunner, but he did not work on it. But I'm still sure it's still good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick one that I'm sure none of you guys have seen, and I don't think many people have seen. But it was a Jack Black movie from, I think, like 2 years ago. It's called The House with Clocks in Its Walls.
Okay.
And this is, this is, I don't know anything about the director that made this movie, but I'm convinced he was a fan of Tim Burton because it's the most Tim Burton-y movie not made by Tim Burton that I've ever seen. And it's like, it's just kind of like perfect. Like it's got a lot of mood. It's got a cool look. It's got like, your quirky, Jack Black is this kid's, uncle who, his parents pass away and he goes and lives with his quirky uncle. He's got like this weird kind of creepy house and stuff. And, Kate Blanchett's his neighbor who they're friends and they have kind of like a weird relationship and stuff. And it's, it's a fun movie. It's, I don't think it's going to scare anybody. It's going to, just kind of it's going to get the blood flowing like just enough, but no one's going to lose any sleep over it. And, it's fun. It's in that, it feels like, I guess, what some of those Disney movies from the 80s felt like, only today, because they don't make a whole lot of these movies anymore. It's like, the kids movies tend to be only like animated, like talking animal stuff. And so this is kind of a fun live action for kids movies, but is still doesn't talk down to them,
Right.
Okay.
Not many of them out there anymore.
Cool.
Also, I'll throw one more too. The one for me growing up as a kid too. I don't know where you would find it, but I used to love Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah,
I absolutely loved it. And I know Nickelodeon did a revival of it, and I haven't watched the revival yet. I was a little turned off by it because the idea is that it was kids in the woods that would get together on the weekends and tell each other scary stories. It was a group that they called the Midnight Society, and then. So that was your frame narrative, and then the episode was the story that was being told by one of the kids in the Midnight Society, and then you had like Charles S. Dutton was in an episode, or
right.
or something. Yeah, I love the original, and that was one of those for years. I was like,
Ryan Gosling was in some, I think.
Was he really? Oh, no kidding.
Like little Ryan. Yeah, like young Ryan Gosling was in some.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. So yeah, another really good one. I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure there's DVDs out there or something, but
Right.
so yeah, so that's stuff that scared us. So anyway, so guys, we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments what thing in pop culture scared you as a kid. Don't forget to suggest a topic for us while you're there. You can find links and examples to everything we talk about on letmeknowhowitis.com. Also, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It will help the channel to grow. And finally, don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/letmeknowhowitis and follow us on Twitter at our show's initials LMKHII. Thanks for listening. Have a safe and happy Halloween, and we will see you next time.